everyone. Welcome to Build. I'm your host, Brittany Jones-Cooper, and today I'm sitting down with Christina Anthony. She's here to talk about ABC's Mixed Dish, where she plays Aunt Didi, a woman who works at Pan Am, loves her stories, and is helping her sister's family adjust to life off the commune. Please help me welcome Christina Anthony.
Hey, y'all. Thank you so much.
I think in the script, I think she liked Pan Am, or worked at Pan Am, loved her stories, and has a lot of guys that she calls friends or guy friends.
Yeah, actually, when I auditioned, she was just world weary and works at the airport. We jazzed up a little bit.
You jazzed it up, and you did. I mean, I love Aunt Didi. She is somebody.
She's had a glow up.
You know, she's somebody I really connect to, and I think such an amazing character on TV. But first, I want to talk about you a little bit, because I know you came up in the Chicago comedy scene, which is so iconic. I mean, Second City and all of that. So, where did you just kind of first cut your teeth in comedy and acting?
Yeah, well, I came up in comedy, but I first started doing musical theater. Yeah, in the black box scene in Chicago, which is amazing. It's like the next stars of tomorrow.
It's iconic.
Yeah, it's iconic, which is where Gary Cole in our show comes from, that scene, from the theater scene there at the Steppenwolf. And then, did that for like a year or two and kind of didn't find my footing. And then a friend suggested, taking this class at Second City for actors that wanted to do comedy. And it's all about improv. And I'm like, improv, what's that? And then another friend said, hey, that's how people get on SNL. And so, I was like, this is amazing. Took the class, really took to it, kind of worked my way up through the ranks, took classes, went on tour. I went all over the world. I went to Europe. I went to the islands. I went to Portland. I mean, all over the world. And then you spend some time there, and they brought me back to Chicago. I started writing scripts, learning how to really hone my comedy and my point of view. And you're learning how to write political satire, and also learning how to tell jokes on the fly. And it's a great training ground. Obviously, Tina Fey comes from there, Amy Poehler. So many strong comedians come out of there. So it was a really great, almost like graduate school of comedy for me.
Yeah, when you look back, are you still accessing things that you learned back then?
Oh, absolutely. As soon as I get to work, my mind is going as I'm reading the script. I mean, I have an easier job now because I don't need to write the jokes, which is amazing. Don't tell them, but it's easy. But but accessing that part of my brain, if I had written this. So if I had written the character of Denise, what are some of the things that I would want to punch up about her for people to see? We do that often.
And so what was the move like from Chicago out to LA and going into pilot season and that whole experience?
Well, I knew as soon as I got here, I would book a TV show. And so as soon as I got to LA, I just knew I was going to be, as the kids say, blowed up. And so I wasn't. I went out for pilot season, and they were like, no, and did another set of pilot seasons. No, I did 8. I went out for almost 100 pilots. No. And this last year in February, I told my boyfriend at the time, I'm like, I'm out of here. I gotta go. We're gonna do long distance. This is my last audition, told my reps, and he really pushed me to go on one more. And it was for this backdoor pilot, this episode of Blackish that could turn into a TV show. I went to the audition, still working my customer service job. And before I could get home from the audition, they called and said, hey, they really love you. Come back, do another audition with your sister. And I said, no, I've already taken my lunch break. I'm on thin ice at my job. You know how that is, right? And
I need a paycheck.
Right. And I made it. I went back. They called me. I got the job. When they called me to say I had the job, I was just so stunned. I couldn't believe it. I just hung up the phone. I called my parents. I called my boyfriend, and he was like, just lay back and enjoy it. You got a job on TV. And I just was laying in bed thinking, thank you, God. I can't believe it. It took a long time, but thank you. And then my agents called back and said, why did you hang up? You started in 90 minutes. What? Yeah, I started that day.
Wait, you auditioned in your final round of auditions, and you started the same day?
Yep, sure did. I started that next day. And so I had laid back for a second, and then I jumped up. I ran to work. I started, and it's been a whirlwind ever since. Talk about 11:59 p.m. coming through
Final hour.
It's just amazing.
Hail Mary.
That's why you got to hang on. You cannot give up.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what did that experience teach you? Because I mean, you hear this story sometimes where people are like, "It was my last," and then it worked. But what keeps you going on to that just final moment?
Yeah, you have to get to that last moment, right? And so I think it's so much. We maybe put too much emphasis on like people's last name, or your training, or even knowing like who you're connected to and networking. And I got to do this and I got to do that. But really, if you can hang on. If you're the last woman standing, I like to think I got the job because nobody was left. But no, I think that's part of it too, right? I think about so many times where people have wanted to stay in the game and you just couldn't. And if you can find people that believe in you, that keep you hanging on, I'm very fortunate. I have friends who believed in me, my family, my boyfriend. I married him. I'm not crazy. Even my agents, right? Representing an actor that doesn't act, my agents, that showed me they do believe in me, right? And my reps, like, you can't just keep going and going and going without someone else. Sometimes you need people to literally drag you over the finish line.
You need support. I mean, nobody rises to the top alone, and it sounds like you had just a lot of people around you who loved you.
Yeah.
That's
and
amazing.
And the great part, what did the rapper say? It's not lonely at the top. Right. All those people are here with me. My people are here now, right? I got people. My people are watching. And so it's exciting because it's like, to me, it's my whole family booked this job, right? We've waited all this time. And I used to think people would ask me, like, who's that family member that kind of always needs help? You're always kind of like sliding the money at Christmas. Who's the person that's kind of a mess? And I'm like, I can't think of who that is in our family. And then I realized it was me. I was the family member. And so now it's just like, it's so wonderful. It's just been wonderful to be able to, do silly things like pay my rent. My landlord is like, we believe in you. Thank you. You're on time.
It's on time.
Yes.
And you went through all of that to land the role of Aunt Didi, who I love this character so much. I feel like you love her because the way you bring her to life is so dynamic and fun to watch. So I want to know, how is she written? And then what did you sort of help bring to her? Yeah, so the character description was world weary, works at the airport. And that was kind of it. Yeah. And so this time, and maybe this is an acting tip for people watching, this time I did something I normally don't do, which is I went ahead and filled in a lot of the blanks for myself. And so I made a decision about how she dressed, even though she worked at the airport. And people came in like airport uniforms. And I'm like, yeah, but what's she look like when she get off from work, She's changing in the bathroom before she leaves work.
For sure, right? So I made decisions about that. I think I pulled out my best Versace-inspired earrings. I was still working my customer service job. I didn't have no money for Versace. But so I made those kind of choices. I might have found my best wig that day. The best one I had. Went ahead and threw that black lip liner on like a good 80s aunt would with my lipstick. Yeah, and I made a strong decision about this woman. Yes, she works at the airport, but she's not going to let life hold her back. Yeah. And then I think now she's developing as a character as I'm developing as an actress. And so we're finding more subtle things about her. Like, I think she's definitely bold in her the way she dresses. I think she's showing people, we didn't have the language for this back then, but to take up space. When Denise comes in the room, she's not afraid to be there. She's not afraid to voice her opinion. And I think that's something that really is needed, especially for the children, to be able to look to this strong female lead and a strong Black woman who's raising them, who's also childless. I happen to be a professional aunt, no kids myself.
Ditto.
Yes. Also obsessed with my nieces and wigs. So
ditto.
Hello. So for me, I think was also important, how can I bring this full woman to the screen? And knowing that she is not a person who has children doesn't mean that you can't be impactful in the lives of children. And I think that's something we need to remind women. You're still very whole and very much a figure that people can look up to, though you might not be a mom.
Yeah. And you can have an important influence on their lives. And I love her relationship with the kids, because the backstory is this family was living on a commune where race wasn't really an issue.
Yeah.
And now they're back in mainstream America where race is very much an issue.
Yes.
And they need Aunt Didi to help them navigate this landscape. So can you just talk about that dynamic with the kids and how she's introducing them to their culture really for the first time?
Yeah, I think so. I think Didi is a great example of someone who's fully assimilated, but just likes what she likes, right? So I believe, we've made the decision. Didi listens to Wham and she listens to Michael Jackson. She just prefers Michael Jackson, and that's fine. I think she also is wanting to inform the kids in a way that Black parents have to today. Of, you might think you're half Black and half white, but when people look at you, especially authority figures, you Black. And I think that that's something that we black black parents and Black relatives, we're informing our kids in an effort to keep them safe. So I think there are also times where Didi has to, it's not just about pop culture, what she wants them to like, but also she's trying to keep them alive. And I think she's definitely a precursor to the conversations that we're having today about police brutality, about, how you need to be at work so these people don't call security on you on your job, girl. I know you might feel like you were right, but just be chill if they wrong you at work. So I think she's having these conversations that a lot of Black families and Black households are having, and it's just happening now on TV.
Yeah, it's happening now on TV, and I have a family that is very mixed-ish, and I have, my brother has an interracial family, and we watch the show together, and we talk, and we laugh, because it's like seeing our family reflected for the first time ever. Even when you go into the Blackish world, Ruby, Black grandma,
Yeah.
like Didi sort of functioning in that same capacity, where she's just helping facilitate these conversations that are important, like you said, to the survival of the children.
Yeah, and I also think in a really authentic way.
Yeah,
I think it's very grounded. I mean, I think they could have easily done something with Mixed Dish, which was, hey, this is a show about being in the 80s. Do y'all love the Super Bowl shuffle? I did. But no, we're going to do something every week that we have fun, but there's also a moment. It's rooted in truth. And there's always a moment where maybe this is something you didn't know, or if you did know it already, it's a great memory and a moment of nostalgia. For sure.
And a lot of those topics are, we get a lot of different viewpoints, which is important. And I really love the dynamic between Didi and Alicia, because they're sisters. They love each other more than anything. They couldn't be more different.
Yeah.
So why do you think it's important to really play with that dynamic and explore topics through both of their viewpoints?
I think it's important because Black women aren't a monolith, right? We're different, right? And so I think it's important. Alicia and Denise, though they have the same parents, they grew up, I think we've decided they grew up in the same household. They're relatively around the same age. These women have chosen such different paths for themselves. They couldn't be more different. But at the same time, I think they both have a vested interest in how to raise these children. Look, I'm saying raise because she's very invested. I'm very invested.
Let's just make it clear. When you're an auntie, you are raising those kids.
Hello.
I call them my kids.
I call them my kids.
I've been invested since day one. Why wouldn't I? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've been here. I'm your oldest friend.
I show up.
These little friends you got now, I knew you knew me before you knew them.
Thank you.
Okay?
That's all I'm saying. So yes, those are your children.
Yes. And and my children and also the children of the show, I'm obsessed with them as well. I mean, right now we talked about backstage, I'm begging them to let me be on their TikTok.
Aww.
They're like, no. I'm like, I'm not your auntie. I'm like your cool friend on the show. And they're like, no. Yeah, but I'm going to get them. I'm going to learn the little dances, and I'm going to be on their TikTok.
All of that stuff.
All of
I don't know. It's all.
They can in between takes.
So
They're forever
isolated.
learning. They're forever learning stuff.
These kids are. I think I've said this before. They're some of the most dynamic kid actors I've ever seen.
Oh my goodness.
Just what has your experience been like on set with them? Because I would imagine they are as funny on camera as they are off.
Yes, they're super funny. Arca is like, she's like, it's just like having, you've met her.
Yeah.
She's just the most wonderful. She's a teenager, but she's your friend. She's so hip. She dresses great. She's so cool.
Dresses so cool.
She's the coolest girl in the whole school, and I'm trying to be friends with her. Ethan, he's also into his dancing as well. And Ethan can be a wild card some days. And I told, one day we were hanging out, and I was like, you guys, I have a headache. And Ethan says, I get it, Christina. You don't have kids. I'm going to be quiet. I'm like, you're right, Ethan. I don't have kids. Shh. Everybody be quiet. And then Mimi, well, what can you say about Mimi? Oh, she's also a very good friend and also teaches me a lot. We have a joke between the two of us. Hey, we get paid by the laugh, so go hard today.
She goes hard.
We go hard and
commit.
Yes.
Is it interesting to see these young comedic actors, given just like how much you've studied and been. You know, is it just interesting to see this generation coming up and how they're
Oh, I
just
love it.
performing? Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
cool.
Even in my time coming up in Chicago, there was this idea of kind of like being the one black girl in something. And if another black girl got it, then you probably weren't going to be in it, which is why it's a refreshing. Working with Tika is the first time I've ever, I would say, no, maybe there's been one other time. This is the first time I've ever worked on a major project with another black person. It's always been chocolate chip and the sugar cookie type situation. And so for the kids, I think it's amazing because this is their norm. They're like, yeah, of course I'm on this major network television show. Yeah, with other black people. Yeah.
Such a diverse cast, diverse set. I mean,
Yeah.
that is hopefully the new norm.
Yes.
For them.
It is, yes. And
Moving
we've had great women directors come in, great directors of color come in. Just every week, it's just, I love that this is what they're growing up with. And hopefully as they continue in the business and continue to dominate the business, one, that they will hire me, and two, that they will also perpetuate this idea of things around me need to look like me, and people who look like me need to feel welcome and included in being here, for sure.
And, you know, a lot of that is part of the show, too, is you're exploring all these topics about fitting in and not fitting in. And you guys really don't shy away from difficult conversations. Is there a conversation that you're excited to have on the show or that you would like to go in deeper on and explore?
I love some of we've already done quite a few that I've really enjoyed. I mean, so some weeks we are talking about from a lens of race, but other weeks, like we did a great episode on grief and helping children process grief. We talked about what it was like for the children of the 80s to experience the Challenger explosion in real time on TV and school. And I was one of those kids, and we processed it and talked about it on stage, but we never talked about it. There was no crisis counseling. It just was over, and then they turned the TV off, and we kind of went back to what we were doing. Versus now, I think when we have a national tragedy, we try to stop and process. And we have social media to help reach out. Like Denise just decided to start calling people on the phone. You know, what could you do? But she wanted to talk to someone, right? We also had a great episode about hair, obviously. I loved it.
What I love most, too, is Mark Paul just trying to get in there, just trying to be involved in the conversation. I think the little girl called him a clown. It was so funny.
But you know what? I got to say, Mark Paul, I just have to say, everybody's so wonderful. Mark Paul really was working on learning how to comb that black child's hair. And Mark Paul learned how to jump double dutch.
Oh, I heard.
In an episode. And it was really him. Everybody thinks it was a double. It was really Mark Paul. I was there turning the rope with my mouth wide open. Okay, so just between us, right? There's like a few of us in here. I can't jump double dutch. Don't take my black card. Watching Mark Paul jump double dutch, I just crumbled into 1,000 little chocolate chip pieces. I couldn't believe it. I was devastated.
When they were here, they also mentioned that the double dutch instructor was a white guy.
Oh, yes, he was, girl. Yes, he was. White. How white is the front of my hand? This white. He was this white. He was so white. His name is Brian Singleton. He's actually, I don't want to say Olympic, but probably like world-class double dutch jump roping champion when he was a kid. And now he's a producer for TV. And so when they tell you the stunt person is coming, I don't know why. Maybe because I have my own stereotypes and prejudices. I just figured it was going to be some sister named Tamika that was going to be like, okay, double dutch class. And then eventually I'm like, what are you going to do when he can't do it? Because now we have this black woman who's his coach. No, it was a white man. And then Mark Paul did it. I could not believe it.
So we all need to just step up.
We need to step up, and we need to hire this white man to teach us.
I got to learn one of these days, so I might as well just get on. I don't know. Just give me his DM. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm sure he'll teach you. He's amazing.
So I'm hoping we have many more seasons of this show. And as you continue to live in Didi's head, where would you like to see her go or evolve or kind of grow?
Well, Didi's a working class black woman, so I'm excited for her to make her own jump in her ambitions. I think she has some side hustles going on. I think she's at Pan Am, but I think she
at Panic.
I think right, yeah. I think how I wasn't my customer service job. Didi has a 9 to 5, but I think she has a 5 to 9. I want to explore that. I'm also excited for her to maybe get a love interest, right? You know, and I would also love to see her. We have an episode coming up about money management. I'm excited to see. You know, will Didi forever be a renter? You know, home ownership in the 80s, that could be something interesting. The big housing bubble is coming up in the timeline. So I'd be curious for her to explore those things. Yeah.
I didn't know there was a how like that. You have to have like an 80s knowledge too, and don't really remember all that stuff in the 80s.
Yeah,
so.
I've gotten deeper. I was deep into it before I started this, but yeah, I've definitely gotten deeper now.
Just to know where it's going.
Yeah. And the kids are getting deeper too. They're like, oh yeah, that's Tears for Fears. I'm like, y'all are nerds. Stop.
Well, I could talk to you for another half hour, but we do have some questions from the audience. So who do we have first right here?
Okay, first let me say, love the show. Didi is everything. Okay,
Thank you.
Being a mixed person myself, I find it very refreshing and yet triggering how much the storylines mirror my own childhood. But my question to you is, with Didi, what are you hoping that the community learns or gets from this show?
First of all, thank you for your question, and thanks for watching the show. We need you. See you every Tuesday night on ABC. I really hope that, you know, there are times where I think, especially in the hair episode, one, I want for everyone to have a moment, especially Black children and children of mixed heritage, to say, I know this woman. She's authentic. I know who she is. This is a sincere and real memory, not just some kind of like fun 80s nostalgia. On the other hand, from watching the hair episode, if you haven't watched it, check it out. Didi is problematic, right? She represents a group of, a point of view from back then, this idea that you do need to straighten your hair. Making your hair look like the dominant culture is a way to get ahead, because I think she has her own insecurities about natural hair. And so, and we reveal in that episode that Didi's been wearing wigs. She has an afro, you know, and because I'm Didi, I know she has an afro, right? Because I got an afro. And so this idea of hiding your hair and straightening your hair and passing that message on to the kids, not cool, right? That's wrong. And so I hope that when people watch it too, especially older Black women who maybe were Aunt Didi, that they see it is a new day, and we have to be careful of the messages that we pass on to our children. Yeah.
And that's a hard thing, I think, for a lot of women, because they're doing it out of love.
Yeah.
They want their children to go out into the world and not be judged and to be able to succeed. And, you know, it comes, I think, from a place of love and fear.
Yeah.
But it's also, we're in a moment where I think we can really unpack that.
Yeah.
And discuss that and how personal a hair journey is, you know, and that it's okay, but you should have all the facts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fear is a great word for that. I think she definitely operates sometimes out of fear.
Which is super relatable.
Yeah.
And one more?
Hi.
Hi.
Being an actor myself and being on set, I know that we tend to have a little fun. You guys must have a ton of fun working on this show. Are there any pranks or fun stories you can share with us?
Oh my gosh. Well, we have had some pranks. I definitely think, so Didi, there's a joke about her not having, she's just magically appears in the house. We don't use house keys. I'm always there. I'm doing my laundry over there.
I was going to say, I remember an episode she just walked out with a laundry basket.
She's just always there. And so we've established this. We're not going to explain it. And I think one day I was just in the house on set, just waiting for the camera. And just in my waiting, I kind of was in my own world, and I just turned around, and Mark Paul Gosselaar, who plays our dad, just jumps out from behind the couch, and they were rolling. The camera was rolling, and I screamed so hard. I was so afraid, and he said, did you really think you were alone? There's 175 people who make this show happen. It's not your real house. You're not really alone. And also, your character doesn't even live here. Why would you be that relaxed? I mean, the tape is hilarious. I screamed like a crazy person. But yeah, Mark Paul is the main prankster. Yeah. He's the main but he's been on TV the longest.
His entire life.
Yeah, the main prankster. Yeah.
I love hearing that you guys had that much fun because the show is that much fun. Like you said, it just seems like for so many of us, like real life, super
Yeah.
accessible, really comical, but also the topics and themes you guys explore are done with so much heart and dignity. And I love watching the show. It is like my favorite half hour. You know what I mean?
Thank
So,
you. We love
congrats.
making it for
yes.
you.
And
Thank you.
congrats.
Thank
for
you.
on this show. I love that you had to fight so hard to get it and you're here.
Thank you.
And every week we get to enjoy Aunt Didi, so thank you for that.
Thank you.
And if you guys haven't checked out Mixed Dish, you should. It airs Tuesdays at 9, 8 Central on ABC. Put your hands together for Christina Anthony.
Thank you.